If my daughter-in-law had not screamed those words at me in front of the entire family, I would have kept quiet forever. I would have continued pretending that respect still lived in that house. But the moment she pointed her finger at my face and screamed, "You're nothing! You contribute nothing!" something inside me finally broke open. I am Margaret Sullivan. I am 68 years old, and this is my true story from Portland, Oregon. The dinner table had gone completely silent. My son Daniel sat frozen with his fork halfway to his mouth. My two grandchildren, Emma and Jacob, stared down at their plates like the wood grain had suddenly become fascinating, and my daughter-in-law Vanessa stood there, chest heaving, eyes wild with anger that had clearly been building for months, maybe years. If you are hearing this story, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments which city you are watching from. Your support means everything and helps me share these true stories with more people who need to hear them. The argument had started over something small. At least it seemed small to me. I had suggested we skip the expensive vacation Vanessa was planning and perhaps save that money for Emma's college fund instead. It was a gentle suggestion, the kind I had made dozens of times before. But this time, Vanessa did not just dismiss it. She exploded. Within seconds, years of resentment came pouring out. She called me controlling. She called me intrusive. She said I treated their home like it was mine. And then came the final blow. "You act like you own everything, but you're nothing, Margaret. You contribute nothing to this family. Nothing." Daniel finally spoke. "Vanessa, that's enough." But she was not finished. "No, Daniel. Your mother needs to hear this. She walks around here like some kind of queen, but what does she actually do? Nothing. We support her. We give her a place to live, and all she does is criticize and judge." I stood up slowly. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "Is that what you believe?" I asked quietly. "It's the truth," Vanessa snapped. I looked at my son. He would not meet my eyes. That hurt more than anything Vanessa had said. I nodded once, then walked to the guest room where I had been staying for the past 3 years. I closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed, and let the words settle into my chest like stones. You contribute nothing. For 3 years, I had lived in that house believing I was helping. I cooked meals. I drove the children to school and activities. I cleaned quietly without being asked. I had moved in after my husband died because Daniel said they needed me, because Vanessa said it would be easier for everyone. Now I understood. Easier meant free labor. Needed meant convenient. I did not cry that night. I sat in the dark and did something I had not done in a long time. I opened my laptop and logged into accounts I had not checked in months. Bank statements, property records, investment summaries, legal documents filed years ago when my husband and I had planned for a future we thought would be shared. What I found made my hands stop shaking. Because Vanessa was right about one thing. I did act like I owned everything. Because I did. The next morning, I woke early and dressed carefully. I made coffee in the kitchen, the same kitchen I had been told I contributed nothing to. Vanessa came down first, her face still tight with yesterday's anger. She did not apologize. She poured herself coffee and leaned against the counter as if waiting for me to speak first, to apologize, to shrink back into the quiet version of myself she preferred. Instead, I slid a folder across the counter. "I think you should look at this," I said. She frowned. "What is it?" "Documents," I replied. "Important ones." Daniel appeared in the doorway, hesitant, still avoiding my eyes. "Mom, about last night." "Read the folder first," I interrupted. "Then we will talk." Vanessa opened it slowly. Her eyes scanned the first page, then the second. Her face went pale. She looked up at me, then back down at the papers, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something less devastating. "What is this?" she whispered. "That," I said calmly, "is the deed to this house." Daniel stepped forward. "What are you talking about?" I kept my eyes on Vanessa. "This house is not yours, Daniel. It never was. It is mine. I purchased it 6 years ago under an LLC I created with my late husband. We put it in your name on paper as a gift with one legal condition, that I retained full ownership rights until certain terms were met." Vanessa's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. Property transfer agreements, mortgage records showing zero balance, tax payments made annually from my accounts, legal stipulations clearly outlined. "Why would you do this?" Daniel asked, his voice breaking. "Because your father and I wanted to help you," I said. "We wanted you to feel like you had a home without the burden of a mortgage while you built your careers and raised your children. We thought we were giving you security." "You lied to us," Vanessa said, but her voice had lost its edge. "No," I corrected. "I let you believe what you wanted to believe. And for 3 years, I watched you treat this gift like it was your accomplishment. I said nothing. I cooked and cleaned and helped raise your children, and I stayed quiet because I thought that was what love looked like." Vanessa set the folder down. "So what now? You are going to kick us out?" "No," I said, "but you are going to understand something very clearly. I contribute nothing. Let me show you exactly what I contribute." I pulled out a second folder. This one was thicker. Inside were bank statements showing every payment I had made over the past 3 years. Utility bills paid in full every month. Property taxes covering the entire amount. Homeowners insurance renewed annually. Repairs and maintenance costs for the roof, the heating system, the foundation work that Vanessa never noticed because I handled it quietly. Then came the receipts. Groceries purchased weekly, clothing for the children, school supplies and fees, dance lessons for Emma, soccer league costs for Jacob, medical co-pays when Vanessa's insurance fell short, car repairs for Daniel's vehicle when unexpected expenses hit, and finally, the investment account statements. The college funds I had opened in both grandchildren's names, funded monthly without ever mentioning it. Accounts that now held over $140,000 combined. Daniel sank into a chair. His face had gone gray. Vanessa stared at the papers spread across the counter as if they were evidence at a trial she had not known she was attending. "I contribute nothing," I repeated softly. "Is that still what you believe?" Vanessa's mouth opened, but no sound came out. "You screamed at me in front of your children," I continued. "You told me I was nothing. You made me feel small in a house I own, at a table I paid for, eating food I bought. And your husband, my son, said nothing to stop you." Daniel finally looked at me. Tears were streaming down his face. "Mom, I'm so sorry." "Sorry is just a word, Daniel," I said. "What matters is what happens next." I closed both folders and stacked them neatly. "Here are your options. You can continue living here under the same arrangement. I will stay quiet. I will keep contributing everything while being told I contribute nothing. Or we can change the terms." "What terms?" Vanessa whispered. "Respect," I said simply. "You treat me like a guest in my own home, or I will treat you like tenants in mine." The silence that followed was absolute. Vanessa sat down slowly. Her hands covered her face. When she finally spoke, her voice was so small I almost did not hear it. "I didn't know." "You did not ask," I replied. "You assumed. You decided I was a burden because it was easier than acknowledging I was the foundation." Daniel reached for my hand. "What do you want us to do?" I looked at my son, at the man I had raised to be kind and strong, and realized he had forgotten both in the face of his wife's anger. I want you to remember who you are, I said. I want you to teach your children that love is not measured by convenience. And I want you to decide if this family can be repaired or if I should start making other arrangements. I left them sitting there and went to my room. I did not pack. I did not cry. I simply waited. 2 hours later, there was a knock on my door. It was Vanessa. Her eyes were red and swollen. "May I come in?" she asked. I nodded. She sat on the edge of the bed and took a shaking breath. "I was wrong," she said, "about everything. I thought you were here because you had nowhere else to go. I thought we were doing you a favor. I didn't know. I should have known, but I didn't." "You should have asked," I said. "I know." She wiped her eyes. "I've been so stressed. Money has been tight. Work has been awful. And I took it out on the one person who was actually holding everything together." I let her sit with that truth for a moment. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she continued. "But I need you to know that I see it now. I see what you've done, and I'm ashamed." "Shame is not enough," I said quietly. "You humiliated me in front of your children. You taught them that cruelty is acceptable when you are angry. Words leave scars, Vanessa, especially when they come from family." She nodded, tears falling faster now. "What can I do? You can mean it when you say you're sorry," I replied, "and you can prove it every day after this one." That evening, the family gathered again in the living room. This time, Daniel spoke first. He sat the children down and explained in clear, age-appropriate language that Grandma owned the house, that she had been taking care of them in ways they did not see, that respect was not optional. Emma, who was 12, looked at me with wide eyes. "You paid for my dance lessons?" "Everyone," I said. Jacob, who was 9, asked, "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because love doesn't need announcements," I said, "but it does need acknowledgement." Vanessa apologized to the children for her behavior. She did not make excuses. She did not minimize it. She simply said she was wrong and that she would do better. Over the following weeks, things changed. Not perfectly, not immediately, but gradually. Vanessa started asking before assuming. Daniel started noticing the small things I did and thanking me out loud. The children began helping without being told, and I stopped staying quiet. When something bothered me, I said so. When I needed space, I took it. When decisions were made, I was included. 1 month later, Vanessa came to me with a proposal. She and Daniel wanted to refinance some of their debts and start contributing to the household expenses. They wanted to pay rent, not as tenants, but as family members who understood the cost of living and the value of what they had been given. I considered it carefully. "Rent is not necessary," I said, "but respect is, and responsibility is. If you want to contribute financially, I will not stop you. But what I need most is to be seen, to be heard, to be treated like I matter." "You do matter," Vanessa said, her voice thick. "I'm so sorry it took me screaming at you to realize how much." 6 months have passed since that terrible dinner. The house feels different now, lighter. There is laughter again, but it is built on honesty instead of assumptions. Vanessa and I have long talks now, real ones, where we listen to each other instead of preparing our next defense. Daniel has become the son I raised again, protective, thoughtful, present, and my grandchildren know their grandmother not as a silent fixture, but as a person with a voice and a story. I did not move out, I stayed, but I stayed on my terms, and that has made all the difference. Here is what I learned, and what I hope anyone listening will take to heart. Silence does not protect you. It only teaches others that you can be ignored. Generosity without boundaries becomes invisible. And family is not defined by blood or proximity. It is defined by respect. If you are contributing to a household, whether through money, time, or labor, do not let anyone convince you that you are nothing. You are not a burden for existing. You are not invisible because you are quiet. And if someone screams at you that you contribute nothing, do not shrink. Do not apologize. Show them the receipts. What lesson did you take from this story? And which city are you watching from right now? I would love to hear from you in the comments below.